Hey guys, welcome back to Waters Family Homestead. Alright, so I had bought this headlight and tail light kit years ago. I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, and I had it in my old barn up there, my old building. And man, I guess it might have had a way to go on a regular bike, but on these motorized bikes, as big as the frame is and all that, the brackets that come with it were just cheap junk. So I ended up mounting it to the luggage rack fender that I made, the tail light on there, and going into the luggage rack up front up here. Had to pre-drill it, of course. This steel they made these luggage racks out of is hard, but either way, I got it pre-drilled, got a screw in there, works pretty good. So I rode it around the yard and down the road a little bit and held my camera in front of it, my phone in front of it, and seen how bright it was. It looked like it was getting pretty bright while I was riding. So it's a 6-volt system, and it works off of this. I'm drawing a blank is what they call that right now, but you can push down and disengage that so it's not doing anything if you don't want the lights to run, or you can push down and click it back in where it rubs on the side of the tire just enough to make it spin. Don't know, how well that's going to last. I do know this brackets they sell with it are so soft and cheap, they're very hard to get to hold it, but I did get it to work. It had to adjust it a couple times, and I ran and hit all the wires as best I could down by the frame and under, all the way back to the tail light. So like here still shows, but I've got it zip tied. I need to cut some of the zip tie straps off of it, but so it doesn't interfere with anything on the bike. And I ran it up through the existing zip ties with the cables and all up here, and came out and ran it down that way. So it doesn't interfere with anything. It is more junk on the bike, but if you're riding this thing and it's dark, a little bit of light will make a lot of difference. And I'm sure at 5 or 10 miles an hour, that headlight should be bright enough to do what it's going, what it should, let you see where you're going anyway. So I've also got another idea. If this generator doesn't work out well for the lights, we sell 6-volt rechargeable batteries where I work for smoke alarms and things like that. So I can get one of those. They're very small, and mount it on the bike and just run the lights off of it and recharge it when it gets weak. Or leave that charger on there and let it charge the battery up while you're riding it, even though the lights may not be on. So I don't know. That's just more stuff to put on there, but trying to make it more 24-hour usable. And of course, if you do not want the lights to work, if you want to be in the dark, you push that little button right there and the wire just pops out. Boom, boom, not hooked up anymore. The lights are out. So it's pretty simple, but it's another thing that I've had for years to add to the bike. And like I say, I may end up buying a much better one, but until I run this one at night to see how bright it is and all of that, don't know if I need a better one. This one may be fine. I may end up drilling another hole down here. It did come loose a little bit and vibrate and flop to the side just a little bit while I was riding the first time, and then I tightened it back up and it stayed. So that like I say, that the brackets they sell with it are pretty doggone flimsy. But either way, being able to have some kind of light and a tail light just in case people come up behind you, and they're little 6-volt bulbs, and of course they're magnified lenses, but at least at night they would be able to see something's there that they need to go around. So we'll just have to see how it works out. But I wanted to do a quick video and show y'all. It actually took me a couple of hours today because I had to modify their the cheap brackets that came with that little cheap light set to work on this bike the way I wanted it to work. So I did, But it, like I say, I did have to drill the hole back here in my fender to mount that one, because it had a clamp that would go on this bar here, and that's not going to work. It's going to vibrate loose at some point and end up down there in the chain and stuff, and I didn't want that to happen. So mounting it to where it can't fall down, and that wire doesn't unplug. I wanted it under the thing, but there's a hole where the wire goes in. It's not sealed, so I put it that way. I could always come back, take it loose, and seal that hole with some silicone or something and flip it over. But anyway, I have checked them out. The lenses do unscrew, and the bulb unscrews. You can replace the bulbs. But I was negative that I found about these motors on these bikes. You know, they sell what they call a racing motor that's 80 cc, where this one's 79. Whole big difference, right? But I was looking at some videos on how to adjust the brakes and stuff, and one of the videos I watched was actually talking about getting more RPMs out of the motor. And he told you to take the governor spring and put a piece of wire there to keep it from allowing the governor to slow it down, and then let it run wide open. And I'm thinking, I don't want to do that to my motor. I want it to last as long as possible, you know. So I get out here and I'm looking, I'm running that wire, and sure enough, that's what they did. They got this piece of wire between here and the governor, and the spring's not doing anything, because they're trying to get that extra RPM out of it, since I got the faster model, the 32 mile an hour model, instead of the 24 or whatever it was. So I'm not so thrilled about that. I think you can obtain the speed you want by changing the gear ratio. Of course, you still got to have enough to where you can have the takeoff speed you want, because I mean, it's like a go-kart engine. It doesn't have a whole lot of takeoff power, but definitely I don't think that's the way it should be done. But that came from the factory like that. I did not do that. So apparently they know how to do their motors more than I do. But my fenders are working really well. I'm pleased with it. I went all the way down 3/4 of a mile to the intersection on dirt road and came back, and no dirt thrown up on me. So I'm pleased with that. Now, if this light system works, I'll be pleased with it, but it's not a necessity, because, you know, if you're using this bike to go, you know, scavenge supplies or whatever after crap has hit the fan when you're pulling that wagon, most likely you're not going to be by yourself. And even if I had to push the thing, it'd be better than toting stuff. So anywho, that's the idea. So I still got to get the 2 tires fixed over here. They're tubed. I could probably pull them and patch them myself, but I haven't dug into that yet. And I've got to put the receiver hitch on the main sprocket back here, so that the tongue of the trailer will lock onto it. But either way, I'm pleased with it. Some of y'all may be getting tired of the motorized bicycle videos, but you know, I've been wanting one of these things for a long time. One is for, I do pedal some, so I get some exercise that way, help build my leg strength back up to where I used to be before I got Rocky Mountain spotted fever. And also as a scavenge vehicle for when crap does hit the fan, I think it's going to be very valuable for that. So, and the fuel mileage they get on these things, you may be killing it pulling that wagon, but compared to a vehicle, if you've got a vehicle that runs, you know, that can make a lot of difference. You can go a long ways with 3/4 of a gallon of gas in this thing. They say 100 miles, of course. If you get 40 or 50, I think that'd be impressive by itself. But anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Remember what I've always told you. Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I. Y'all be safe. Be prepared. One more thing before I get off here. Remember, this works off the generator that's being spun by the tire, so your lights will not work if you're sitting still. If I do the battery thing by putting that little 6-volt battery on here and all, the lights would work all the time, whether the bike's moving or not. So, just an idea. I thought there's plenty of room right here to mount a little bracket to have the battery set on there, and you know, won't be, them things don't weigh much and ain't gonna give you any wind resistance or any of that. I'm still getting 32 plus miles per hour out of this thing on a slight downhill flat road. So at least that's what I've gotten so far. But either way, y'all be good, be safe, and get to prepping.